Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. Woo! So anyway, hello, and I hope all of you are getting out in nature somewhere, get some fresh air, go to a park, a trail, or something, in between your day somewhere, maybe before you go to work, after you go to work. So anyway, I love you all, and also make sure you really protect your energy, and it's so important all the time to do that, but you really do. You need to protect your energy. A lot of people start coming out now in springtime because it's cooler out, depending on where you all live. And also, if the other thing is, hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget the notification bell, and you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you can share my videos with your family or friends. Plus, don't forget my playlist, and you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. And now, if anyone would like to send any love donations, you can through my Cash App, and I will have that information here. Ping! There it is. And now today, it's crazy how I got this message. Is I'm going to kind of change the title around because I don't know how many pickleball fans are out here, and I'm going to do my best with this, but I didn't know this. I only played pickleball one time, and I loved it. So I really would love to play pickleball again with another person, that is what I would love to do, because I really had fun, and I just was learning how to play pickleball. And so this, I like I said, I only played, I was just being trained the rules of how to play pickleball, and I'm so grateful for that man that was took the time out to do that, to help Starlight out, to get out of her comfort zone, do something new, and face the fear, of being around people or whatever. So it meant a lot to me, and I kept on watching people play. I never really knew that, the rules or anything. So it is interesting, and I don't know, you could leave a message down below. Do you love playing pickleball? Or, so right now I'm actually across where they're playing a game right now. They're playing pickleball as I speak right here. And so there's some serious ass players. I've watched a little bit of the games, and so the title of this, I'm going to actually change it up though, is I'm going to say the name, what they have for pickleball. And I actually was being guided by the universe yesterday to go in where the pickleball, there's like 3 different spots over here for pickleball, and they do have tournaments and stuff like that out here. Tonight is really kind of dead. Last night it was a lot of people here because I think they had the tournaments last night, but tonight there's not very many people out here, and I'm new at this park, but I kind of was being guided by the universe yesterday by going into the pickleball area, and I found a rag, that was hanging in the fence. And I was like, I could see that it had words, so I needed to go over there and check that out, because Starlight is a very curious person. I always like to find out what things say, and never know, it could be a message from the universe. And it's funny, that's exactly what I got. And I am making this video, and the rag that somebody actually fastened into the fence, it says, "Nobody cares, drill more." It's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Nobody cares? Well, I kind of already knew that. Starlight cares though, but I know there's some people out there, they really do care, you know. So I do know people, they really do. They, you know, like I wear my heart on my sleeve. I really do. I care so much about people and animals and, you know, anybody and everybody. So I do. I have a heart of gold, and I do. I've put myself at risk before because of how much I care, and now I'm learning not to do that anymore. You know, to be mindful of my surroundings and all that. So safety first, Starlight. Okay. So anyway, so I had to look that up, and I thought, you know, this is a great message for all of us, you know, and I'm putting myself in here. So I'm not saying I got this down. This is something I'm working on right now, you know, and so it's about really being disciplined, you know. Do you have a hard time being disciplined? You know, and I'll tell you what, you know, I'm very disciplined, you know, and but there's a lot of people out there, they're not disciplined, you know, you know, there's people that it really has a lot to how you got brought up, you know. We all have different parents, they all brought us up a different way. It all really stems from, you know, what kind of parents or whoever brought you up, because that's like, you know, being molded, you know, with your parents, you know, what they did or what they didn't do, you know. There's parents out there that we learn more what they didn't do, and then what, you know, what they didn't do right than what they did, more than what they did, more on what they didn't do right than what they, you know, should have done, you know, they should have done. But you know what? Those are all lessons that they had to go through. And with kids that turn into adults, we you know, we got to learn from our parents, whether they did something right or didn't do something right, you know. That's on us now, you know. And there's families, people out there, children that, you know, when they were children, you know, as I did a meditation this morning, it was really interesting, is through, you know, the bloodline, your family bloodline is, you know, there's certain families like myself, Starlight, there's some kids, when they get born, all hell, you know, breaks loose, you know, because of their family ancestral line and things that, you know, we're all like me. I'm here, I'm a chosen one, I'm a light worker, so I'm actually helping cleaning up my ancestral line, you know, from you know, generations after generations before I even got here, you know, because, you know, things happen to people, and if they don't really have that wisdom and knowledge and knowing how, you know, like things that they're supposed to work on, like we all got stuff to work on, we all got things to clear. So it all starts really as far as parents go, as far as how they brought their kids up. And it's so important to really bring up your kids in such a way when they're little, you know, because you're not going to be a perfect parent, and that's okay, because I know I wasn't, you know, but because there's so many things to teach children, and that's why it's best to, you know, for parents to, you know, for moms especially, to be a stay-at-home, you know, mom, and bring up the kids in that way, because there's so much that they're missing out on when you're not there full-time with them, you know. And nobody ever really knows really all the things that the public school teaches, you know, or even when you drop them off at the church, you know, like wherever they get dropped off, or even babysitters. Nobody really knows, you know, what is being taught and what's missing, you know, what's missing in your children's life, because if you weren't with them the whole time, you have no clue what they learned in school, what they didn't learn in school. Yeah, they come home and they have paperwork and all that stuff, but you know, there's a lot of missing pieces with children when you're not there full time with them. And so it really starts off when you're being brought up in this world. And so that's why it's so important to really work, really think before you even decide that you want to have a child. Why do you want to have a child? To just drop it off at the public school system? Just a question. So, so nobody really cares. And a lot of us already know that, But like I said, there are people out there that really do care. I really do care. But I'm saying this because this is the thing that I found at the pickleball court is nobody cares when we complain about stuff. Have you ever been around that? People complaining and complaining and complaining, and that's all you hear. You don't hear anything, what's good going on in their life, And like the pickleball, because I only played a little bit, I was laughing at myself the whole time, because it was my first time playing it, but I definitely had fun doing it. And so nobody cares about the excuses that we all have, why we, why we don't do things. Nobody cares about that, the excuses. We all have excuses at different times in our life, why we didn't do something, or, maybe there's something we should have done or could have done. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, so, it's, what I had to learn on this mission is let all that shit go. The couldas, shoulda, wouldas, I could have done that. Well, it ain't no sense in even bringing it up, because you know what? It's already, that's something in the past. It's already gone. So it's just, just to keep on drilling, keep drilling, just keep going. Don't focus on the failures in your life and the mistakes. Focus on the things that you're doing right in your life, like now I'm just kind of mixing things up with like the game pickleball and life itself, the things that I was thinking about when I was researching this. So nobody really wants to hear people complain, unless you got the same kind of spirit in you, like a complaining spirit. And so what people want, like I said, focus on your strengths. Now, we all have weak areas. That's something that we can work on, Don't ignore the weak spots, the weak areas that you have in your life. Those are things that we can strengthen, but focus, don't focus on like, woe is me, nothing's going my way, all the complaining about, things not working out. Focus on what is working out, what is, happening, what is going on in your life. Now, and I have to say, and then it also, the other thing is, stop waiting for sympathy from people or validation, because that is something that, at different times in our life we might be, I really like when I make my videos and I tell you true stories of really what happened. I'm not looking for your sympathy on that. I put those videos out, I put my ass out there because I want people, because I'm always having a positive after. Yeah, that sucked, but look at what I did, like I put a problem out there, put my own story out there and show you what I learned, the wisdom that I got, of doing something that, was a lesson in my life, because we can learn from each other. All of us, even the ones out there that you might think that have it all down. Guess what? They don't have it all down. Looks are deceiving. We all can at times, act like we got it all down, but nobody really has it down. All of us are, in the same boat, really trying to figure it out, so, because words are very powerful, and what I learned is that I am affirmations are really, really powerful. So there's times that I'll say the I am affirmations, and some person might say, I'm abundant, I am rich, I am wealthy, and somebody can come along and say, no, you're not rich, and no, you're not wealthy, and no, you're not this. But it actually is a way to reprogram the way you think. So that's a different story, is your you're letting go of the, just imagine that you're saying, and God knows that I'm not saying this, but I'm using this as an example. You don't feel like you're smart, so what are you going to do? Go around and saying, because I overheard a lady say this not too long ago, I am stupid. Well, now when she goes and does things, she's going to make more, she's going to do things that are stupid. So you don't want to, say I am in a negative way, negative things after the I am. Like, I don't agree with this, I'm just going to throw this out there. Like, the AA for alcoholics is, they have that statement, I am an alcoholic. Why even bother saying that, it doesn't make any sense, so, and about the validation, a lot of us want people to applaud us, but you know what I learned on this journey? I got to be my biggest cheerleader. I need to believe in myself enough that I don't need and Virgos are really good for this, and it does have a lot to do with how I was brought up. All parents treat their kids differently, and you can't treat each child the same. They're all different. What works for the one is not going to work for the other. You might be able to pull this off with the son, but it isn't going to work with the daughter. So you can't treat all the kids the same, and that's a big, huge mistake that parents do with their kids. They think that they're all different. You can't treat them all the same. They're all uniquely different. And I'm going to repeat that. You can't treat them all the same. You got to figure out their weaknesses and their strengths, and that means you got to spend quality time with them. That's why when you homeschool them, you really know them, and it's said, I'm not going to get off on that rabbit trail. I really do. Should I really do that, universe? I'm gonna, because I love you. This is called Tough Love 101. Is that, what? A lot of parents, what they're going through right now? They're scared out of their minds. A lot of them are. Because they know, they're going to be going on vacation soon. Just like with COVID, what? They can't go to school? That means I got to actually take care of my own kids? Not all parents are like that, but a good portion of them out there, they dread it. When the first day of school, I cried. Oh no, school, you're going to the public school. Most parents can't wait for their kids to go to the public school. Get out of here. Most parents, they can't wait for the kids are old enough to get out of the house. I heard this statement, the door goes both ways, in and out. Know what that means? So, it does have a lot to do with how children are being brought up. So, really with your children, instead of focusing on all the negatives, all the things that they're not doing right, focus more on what they're doing right, parents. That's a big, that's what I went through. Focus more on what I screwed up on. Thanks. Hey, how about this? I did good right here. But no, you want to focus on all the bad stuff I did. How is that going to help me as an adult? So parents, I love you so much. Please, you could turn everything around with your kids when you focus more on what they're doing right than what they're doing wrong. Because that, that will inspire them. Wow, you got good grades. Good. Reward them. Let them know how proud you are. Don't let what they screwed up on be the highlight. And, and a lot of parents do this. And the kids, it destroys the kids. I know what this is like. Parents will do this with their kids, and it's so sad. It doesn't build up the kids' self-esteem up, when they're little and when they're, growing up. But a lot of parents, what they do, the kids go and do something screwed up at the house, right? Everyone's got to hear about the shit, Everyone, it's like the newspaper, everybody's got to hear that Starlight did what? Starlight got caught stealing again. Oh man, everybody knows I did that? Shit, that's embarrassing. Because what happens, I do know somebody that, because his parents focused on all the bad stuff. When he did something good, they didn't even pay no attention to what he did good. It was always on the negative stuff. And you know what? It confused the child. So he ended up doing more bad stuff because he got more attention that way. So that sucks, right? So you always want to make sure you focus on your kids' strengths and help them to work on their weak areas, because this is not just for the adults, this is for the children, because that's what part of my YouTube channel is. It's for the future of the kids, my kids are already grown up. I would love to have 10 more. But we need parents that really step up to the plate and not to copy what all the other parents are doing. Don't follow the wide way. Be different. Be that change that you want to see in the world and teach your kids that. But you got to be the example to your children in order for that to happen, right? So I'm getting you ready and prepared for this one. And this sucks because, we all, well, I don't know, maybe we don't, but some of us might have did some great things when we were younger, maybe in school, and some people might not be doing nothing now, but they're thinking about what they did when they were in school and, the highlight moment when they were in school, but their whole life after that, they didn't do nothing. They're so like, hey, yeah, I did this in school. Yeah, that was my highlight moment. And I had a highlight moment, but it's kind of funny. It was supposed to have been a highlight moment, but it ended up being a horrible moment. It's kind of weird how my life was when I was a kid. Starlight was in track. I loved track. I was so excited. It was new, fresh. I just was like, wow. I loved sports. And I was gonna run around the whole track, the full track for the race. There was other girls, that I was racing with, and my teacher actually gave me some good pointers. And this is how life is. It's not how you start; it's how you freaking finish. That's the thing. It's not how you start out in the race in life. Because there's people, they get so stuck up on what they did when they started out. Yeah, look at this, yeah. They got music here to help me out with this. Yeah, look at what I did when I was younger. What are you doing now? I won that race. I was out of it. I did it. It felt amazing. But the sad thing is, hardly anybody even clapped for me. It was so bad. I think the only ones that clapped for me was the people that was in my special class. How many kids are in there? About 12. Imagine that. That's the only. But I won the race against a girl that was in the regular class. So yeah. And I got other things. When I was younger that I'm really proud of is besides being a mom. I love being a mom. Of course, my kids are all grown up, having their own kids. But when I was in church, I brought 50 kids out to church. But you know what? What year was that, Starlight? I know. What year? What year was that? Somewhere 95 to 9. It must have been close to 2000, 1999. Imagine that, 1999. Around that time, I brought 50 kids out by myself without any freaking help from any adult. Because the church was dying. Everybody was going out in the world, and Starlight that was her highlight. And that's when, of course, the devil came along. Devil didn't like that because I was doing amazing stuff. I really put my heart out there. But I can't be stuck on that time now. Because nobody gives a shit about what I did in 1995 when I brought all these kids out. I was spending all my extra time with these kids, Nobody even cares about that time. What they care about is what you're doing now, is what they, like, what am I doing now? I got a lot of work to do. Nobody even really cares what I'm doing right now, because I got a lot of work. But that's okay. It's about pressing forward. It's about not giving up. It's easy to give up. It's easy to complain. It's easy to have excuses why you didn't do something, why you didn't take that, that opportunity when you had it. Why you didn't, we all have excuses, but nobody cares. Nobody cares about all that stuff. What they care about is who you are today. What are you doing with your life right now? Are you having any kind of impact in the world? That's what people care about, is people that are, because those are the people, we are all stars. But what are you doing with your life today, And it's not even, what I'm doing right now. I got to keep plowing. I got to keep going. And I don't want you to be too hard on yourself, because it's like the turtle. There's times it's just, not every day goes my way. There's distractions. There's things that happen, and it's okay. It's about letting that go and just pressing forward with a great attitude, not being jealous of other people that you see that are making it. No, be grateful that those people, whoever they are, be grateful that they started doing what they did, and the things that they did and the things that they accomplished, and cheer them on to keep on going. That is what I was. I was really good in school about cheering people on my whole life, cheering people on, we do need cheerleaders out there. But there's many times that you're not going to have anybody cheering you on. You got to be your own cheerleader. You got to be the one out there saying, "Go Starlight." Of course, you're not Starlight out there, right? But I have to be the one to cheer me on. You know what? Do I get people calling me up on the phone saying, "Hey, Starlight, I'm really proud of you"? No, not my phone. Nobody calls me up and says that I'm proud of you. That's why I got to be the one cheering myself on. You can't count on other people to sit there and make you feel good about what you're doing. Like even me having a YouTube channel, having comments on my, I'm grateful for the people that are out there cheering me on or sharing my videos, giving me thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you for being there and supporting me. But there's many times I got to be my own cheerleader. I can't, look at the views and look at, hey, nobody gave me a comment. Because you know what? That's not how things change. That's not how we can, grow. You just got to keep plowing, because if you've never started a YouTube channel, you don't know what it's like until you jump in there. It takes a lot of guts to jump in, in an unknown, thing, and risk everything to do something that you were meant to do. Not everybody's going to agree with what you're doing, and that's okay. Do what you love. Do what makes you feel good. Because you're going to get a lot of people out there, they're not going to want to hear you doing what you're doing. Because, you know what? They're not working on themselves. There's people out there, they don't want to see a positive change in the world. Because they're not living for God. There's people out there, you know what? They're so distracted, all they want to do is go to the next party. I am so proud of myself today because, you know what? I gave up marijuana, and now I don't even want to be around the smell of marijuana. Because I got so much on my plate, and what I'm working on right now means so much to me. I'm so grateful that I gave it up. You got to be disciplined, and that means, the the three monkeys, you know, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. You got to really be careful. Those are a lot of trip ups out there, you know. So you have to be disciplined, and that's why I'm saying you got to protect your energy, especially, you know, now, all the time. But you know, now because of spring, summer, forget about it. You know, summertime, everybody's going crazy and wild out there. You know, there's certain things out there that pulls people back into their old, you know, habits. And that's why you really got to protect your energy. But it's not how you start out, it's how you finish. And like you know, you teach your kids, you know, just like when I said about the race, when I started that race, my teacher said, you know what, in the beginning of the race, Starlight, yes, he said, just keep up with the ones that are running, just stay a little behind. But once you get around, let's see, it would be the second turn, you know, because it's going to be like an oval, you know, the racetrack. When you get around that second turn, and when you get like so, you know, like from that turn to the finish line, you go, you just really just push it. Don't give your hardest at first, but at the end, that's when you're going to give your all. And that's exactly what I did, and that's how I won the race. And you know what? It was sad. I was really heartbroken that hardly anybody clapped for me, but I was freaking proud of myself because I proved to myself I could do something. And you can too. Don't think that, you know, you can't do something. You got to believe in yourself and believe that you can. It's going to take a lot of time, patience, discipline, you know, focus, not getting off track. You know, how bad do you want it? That's the question. How bad do you want it? You know, you and don't listen to the naysayers out there, because you're going to get people, they're going to try to pull you off. You got to do what you love and believe in yourself. And whatever it is out there, you know, you could be whatever you want. You follow your heart, follow your dreams. I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.